Hi guys, my name is Maria, and today I am here to do the most exciting tag I've basically ever seen created. This is the Wizarding World About Me tag, and it was created by Shelby over at Read and Find Out, and literally the second I saw this video, I knew that it was meant for me, and I was so excited. Shelby knows I kind of freaked out on her page a little bit because I've never seen more perfect questions. And I have spent probably insane amounts of time thinking about the answers to every single one of these questions even before the tag was created, just because I'm obsessed with Harry Potter and love it so much. So I'm super excited, and you might want to settle in. This will probably be a very long chatty video because I am a Harry Potter obsessed person and not at all sorry about it. Question 1 is, so you've received your Hogwarts letter and you're off to go shopping at Diagon Alley. Tell us about your wand. Alright, so like I said, settle in because do I have a lot to say. I got sorted on the official Pottermore website, of course, and got my official wand there, so let me tell you about that one first. My official wand on Pottermore is a laurel wood wand. It is 11 inches in length, it has a unicorn hair core, and it is slightly yielding flexibility. So in the Pottermore description about this wand, it says that it is said a laurel wand cannot perform a dishonorable act, although in the quest for glory, I have known laurel wands to perform powerful and sometimes lethal magic. Laurel wands are sometimes called fickle, but this is unfair. The laurel wand seems unable to tolerate laziness in its possessor, and it is in such conditions that it is most easily and willingly won away. Otherwise, it will cleave happily to its first match forever, and indeed has the unusual and engaging attribute of issuing a spontaneous lightning strike if another witch or wizard attempts to steal it. So what I take away from this wand is that it is strong on loyalty, doesn't really tolerate laziness, and is usually a fairly honorable wand. So this honestly, when I first got this description for this wand, it seemed to fit to a T just because it feels very reminiscent of my house, which I will talk about in a later question, but it is Hufflepuff, in case you can't tell by my scarf. But the one that I'm actually even more excited about is the one that I went to the Wizarding World and got given. I got this one through a different sorting process than going into that room and having your wand selected through that magical process that they do. But the manner that I got my wand in is that when you go into the shop and if you look around at all the different character wands, the specific employees of that wand shop are trained in matching a wand to your personality. And that is how I was given this one. So they did a personality quiz for me and matched me with several wands, and then you pick the one that basically chooses you or speaks to you the most. And the one that I got given for that is this one right here. This is a reed wand. And I am absolutely over the moon in love with this wand. The description for this wand seems to fit me absolutely perfectly as well. It basically says that reed wood is associated with scholarship and knowledge. Reed people are good with words and steadfast in their beliefs. They are deeply rooted and extremely flexible. Reed people should trust in their ability to adapt to new situations without ever losing sense of who they are. And that just speaks to me on so many levels. And I especially love the sentence that says that they are deeply rooted and extremely flexible, because that is how I feel I am. I am very rooted in my beliefs, but I'm also very flexible and willing to hear different perspectives, and that has always been very important to me. To have my beliefs and be steadfast in that and have a sense of core identity, but also be willing to be flexible and hear different perspectives and be willing to accept if I'm wrong or if I hadn't considered a different angle to the situation. The other thing that is my absolute favorite about this wand is that the end of it right here, so this section right here, actually resembles George Weasley's wand. It's not quite the exact same one on the end here, but this part right here does look similar. And to give you a quick little story about that, my best friend and I in high school dressed up and went to a Halloween party as Fred and George. We dyed our hair red and went full out. And we've also been super Harry Potter obsessed and went to every movie and premiere together. And so since then, our kind of friend community and between ourselves as well, my best friend and I refer to each other as Fred and George. And I am Fred and she is George. And when I went into the wand shop originally and to Ollivanders, I really wanted to find the Fred and George Weasley wands, which I did, but the Fred Weasley wand just didn't seem to fit me and my personality quite well. It's kind of spiky, it wasn't my favorite, and that was a little bit disappointing. They also didn't have the ones that would work with the spells around the Wizarding World, which I really wanted to get. I really wanted one that would interact with those magical spots and that I could actually play around with. So I was a little disappointed and didn't pick any one of those out, but then when I got matched with this one, I was really excited because it looks like the George Weasley wand, but just different enough where I feel like it could also be a Fred Weasley wand and match its twin, but be a little bit different, and that just really excites me. It feels like that represented that part of my identity as well and fit really well. So I love this wand. I ran around like a little child trying all the different tricks and mastering all the spells in the Wizarding World. They basically have a sensor map where you can run around and wave your wand and the little sensor on the end, and by magic, obviously, the wand will do spells, and that was the most fun for me. I liked that they were actually, some of them were hard to master, and it really challenged me to learn these spells, and it felt like I was an actual student at Hogwarts. And it was just such a memory that I'll look back on and forever love. But yeah, that's my wand. That's my Pottermore wand and my Wizarding World wand, and I love both equally and feel like both really fit my personality. So there we go. Going on to question 2. Do you bring a pet to Hogwarts? And if so, what pet do you bring? On the list of Hogwarts pets that are allowed, you've got a toad, a cat, an owl, or a rat. It's so funny because now that I have a dog, I'm such a dog person, so I do kind of wish that you could bring a dog to Hogwarts because that's what I would like to do. But as a kid, I actually really wanted a cat, and I always envisioned myself bringing a little ginger cat to Hogwarts with me, so that is what I would bring. Question number 3. You've arrived at Hogwarts, or Ilvermorny. Which houses do you belong to? And you can mention Hogwarts, Ilvermorny, or both. Naturally, I'm going to talk about both because what topic of Harry Potter do I not go on and on about? I mean, obviously. In Hogwarts, I would be in Hufflepuff, absolutely. And unquestionably. As a kid, I was sorted into Hufflepuff, and every single test that I've taken since then for sorting has always been Hufflepuff, so I feel very Hufflepuff through and through. And as a kid, I was a little bit disappointed about it because Hufflepuff does get kind of a bad rep in the sense that people don't really know what it is as a house, and people don't really know what would fit in it, so they kind of lump everything that's not the other 3 houses into Hufflepuff sometimes. But I personally am very, very proud to be a Hufflepuff. I feel like it's the perfect house for me. It feels like I wouldn't want any other house and none of them would fit me as well as Hufflepuff does. The Sorting Hat describes Hufflepuffs as just and loyal and patient and true and hardworking, and I believe there's also kind of a theme that I've adopted in terms of them also being very friendly and nice people. And when I look at every other house and every other trait that they encompass, those are the traits that do speak to me the most and that I value the most. I think that for me, justice and loyalty and kindness are the absolute kind of top morals of my life and the things that I would govern my life by, so it feels like this would be the perfect place for me. I also feel like Hufflepuff is the house that would be the most accepting of absolutely everyone, so when people say that, you know, it's the house where you lump people that you don't really know what they fit into Hufflepuff, I feel like it's also the house that would be the most willing to take anyone in and absolutely love everyone, and there's a sense of equality to that that I just am absolutely in love with and that I really value as well. And then finally, I really love what Joe Rowling said about Hufflepuff and how they were the house that in the final battle, they were the house that showed up and fought not because they wanted glory or because they thought it was the logical thing to do, but because it was right. And there's just something about that that I am so proud of and that I would hope that I personally could also act on if put in a situation like that. And then my Ilvermorny house is Horned Serpent. When I first got sorted into an Ilvermorny house, there wasn't really much description about it, except for the fact that it said that Ilvermorny is kind of the house of the mind and that it favors scholars. Since then, we still don't know a lot about Ilvermorny houses, but there have been a few Tumblr theories that have been floating around, and there's one that I in particular really, really like and kind of ascribe to, and it is this one. So the post reads, Hogwarts houses are chosen based on traits you consider important and value beyond yourself. Example, Hermione thinks bravery is more important than books and cleverness. That's because the founders wanted to see those values in others, so the students they chose. On the other hand, the characters of the Ilvermorny founders leaked into the houses, so it seems to divide along the lines of how you define yourself and what tools you prefer to use in your approach to life. So it brings this comparison and says that a Horned Serpent is defined by what I think. Wampus would be defined by what I do, Thunderbird would be defined by my experiences, and Puckwudgie would be defined by what I feel. And so what I really like about this theory is that when you combine the two different school houses together, it kind of gives you a better picture of a person and what their traits are and what the houses represent for them. So for example, from my combination of Hufflepuff and Horned Serpent, you get the idea of the Horned Serpent being my mind defines me, and then you add on the Hufflepuff part, and that is my mind defines me because that is how I can be just and enact justice in the world. And the main reason I love that idea is because I always felt like there was a part of me that could be Ravenclaw. I never quite fit into Ravenclaw, but it felt like if there were any two houses that would be, it would be Hufflepuff and a little bit Ravenclaw. But I feel like Ravenclaw as a house doesn't fully fit me because I'm not as interested and curious about learning as Ravenclaws are. I'm not passionate about it in the way that they are. It's not necessarily something that I value utmost, and so therefore I don't feel like I'm perfectly a Ravenclaw. But when you put in the Horned Serpent, I do get to keep that kind of aspect of myself, and I still get to keep the fact that I really value my thoughts and the way I think, because I can use those thoughts and my ability to look at different perspectives to be a just and loyal and kind person in life, and therefore it kind of brings the two together, and it feels like it paints a bigger picture of me and really paints me as a person. So Hufflepuff and Horned Serpent, and that's kind of my little spiel on the Tumblr concept and how I personally see the different houses. And definitely let me know down below as well which of the Ilvermorny houses you are in combination with your Hogwarts ones, because like I said, I'm super fascinated by the way those two come together. And to give you a few more examples before I go on to the next question of other combinations that could work that way, we also have like a Horned Serpent and Ravenclaw who would think that my mind defines me because knowledge and creativity is important, and I can use that to better the world. Or the Slytherin counterpart would think my mind defines me because that is how I can achieve what I want out of life. So that kind of idea, again, where you take what is your self-definition and then you take what your values are and you combine it together. Okay, house rant over, going on to the next question now. Question number 4 is, do you try out for your house Quidditch team? And if so, for what position? Let's be honest, as much as I would love to be a Quidditch player, and Ginny was my absolute favorite character and I really admired that sportive side of her, I probably wouldn't be very good at it. If I did try out and by some means was good, I would probably go for keeper, because the only time I've been semi-okay in any kind of sports is when I was in front of the goal. But yeah, like I said, I kind of wish I was good at Quidditch. I probably wouldn't be though, if we're completely honest. Question number 5 is, third year rolls around and it's time to enroll in some electives. Pick at least 2. Your options are Ancient Runes, Arithmancy, Care of Magical Creatures, Divination, or Muggle Studies. I think that I would pick Divination, not because of the way it's painted in the Harry Potter books, but because I think that the aspect of reading tea leaves would be super intriguing to me, because I'm really fascinated by tea and I've kind of wanted to learn how to do that in life anyway. So I think that part of the class would be really fun. I would probably also pick Muggle Studies if I wasn't a Muggle born, just because I love the idea of getting different perspectives in life and kind of seeing how other people live. So I think Muggle Studies would give me that perspective if I wasn't Muggle born. If I was, I probably wouldn't be interested in it just because I would know everything already. So instead I would pick Care of Magical Creatures probably, as long as we had a good teacher that felt safe to me, because as much as I love Hagrid, I think his classes would be terrifying for me, and then I would probably be better off in Ancient Runes instead, even though that class doesn't really sound that interesting to me. Question 6 is, some time passes, you've now taken your OWL exams, and it's time to start year 6. Which classes do you continue to study for the NEWT exams? Your options for this include the electives from the previous question, as well as the core Hogwarts classes, which are Astronomy, Charms, Defense Against the Dark Arts, Herbology, History of Magic, Potions, and Transfiguration. Now, thinking about this in year 6 and kind of the career path that I would want to follow, which I will talk about in the next question, I think that I would take Potions. I would also be deeply interested in Charms, so definitely that one. I like that it's kind of a lighter version of Defense Against the Dark Arts, where you're still learning magical spells, but it's not necessarily as defensive, and I think that would appeal to me a bit more. I think Transfiguration would be incredibly useful for life, so I would take that one as well. And also, if I could be taught by Professor McGonagall, literally all my life dreams would come true. I would also take Herbology, because again, it would link into the career that I have in mind. And I would probably keep Care of Magical Creatures and Divination, depending on how I liked those classes. It would maybe be a toss-up between the two to see which one I liked more. And I'd probably drop Muggle Studies from my previous answer, just because I feel like an intro to Muggle Studies would be very useful, but I don't know that I would want it to the depth that year 6 classes would give me, so I'd probably drop that one and keep the ones that I just talked about. Okay, and then the final question of this amazing tag is question 7. It's time to leave Hogwarts and make your way in the wider wizarding world. What do you do from here? And I think what Shelby meant was kind of what job path would you follow, or how any other parts of your life in the wizarding world would unravel. I thought a lot about this. I think that I would be in several different possible jobs. One of the ones that I've thought about is being kind of a potions worker, but with teas and herbs, because I really love tea. As you guys know, I work in a tea shop. I would love to make something kind of with tea, maybe run like a little shop that is kind of potions brewing tea that help with different ailments and different symptoms. I think that would be really cool. I'm not the best at cooking, but I feel like potions is very scientific and methodical from what I've seen of it in the books, and I'm very good at kind of following specific instructions. So the whole idea of like cut it specifically this way or stir it specifically this way would appeal to me, and I'd probably flourish in that. The other job paths that I've thought about are kind of along the training or career counseling paths. So I think that I know in the book, McGonagall, or the head of house, is the one who's responsible for helping students choose what career path they want to do and kind of what classes they want to pick for their new exams in order to follow that career path. But maybe I'd be someone who trains those professors to be able to assist students with that. Maybe I would help them know about the different career paths and kind of supply them with that information. Or potentially maybe I would be contracted to come in to a specific school and be the person that works with the students on that, maybe something like that. I don't know if that would be able to be something that I could set up, but that sounds very appealing to me. Or another thing that I was thinking of doing in the wizarding world as a job would be starting some kind of organization that helps Muggle-born students that have found out that they're wizards or witches adapt to the wizarding world when they're first being introduced to it. So maybe I would set up a program to kind of introduce them, give them a crash course, teach them different things, assist them if they need to go into Diagon Alley and help them, have someone kind of tag along with them and point out the different things if their parents are too scared to come into the wizarding world and kind of come with them on that shopping trip. So maybe something like that would be great as well. I really like the idea of working with people in a training or career counseling capacity, or potentially some way of kind of imparting information or teaching. I mean, potentially I'd consider being a professor at one of the schools, but I'm not as tied to the idea of being a teacher, so who knows, but that would maybe be another career path that I could follow. But yeah, those are my ideas, and that's kind of what I've thought up, and that kind of wraps up the tag, unfortunately. I have had the absolute best time talking about all of these questions. This tag is basically everything I've ever wanted out of life, and I'm so excited that it exists. Thank you so much, Shelby, for creating it and for thinking of these absolutely wonderful questions. I'm going to go ahead and tag Charles from Sirbooksage to do it next. He's the first person that came to mind when I was thinking of who to tag for this video, because he is currently rereading the Harry Potter books and doing a really wonderful vlogging series over on his channel. I will link his channel and Shelby's down below so you can check both of their videos and channels out, but his series about Harry Potter has been really fun to watch. He notices a lot of great details in the rereads that he points out and that are really fun to discuss, so definitely go check that out as well, guys. And Charles, like I said, I tag you to do this next. I hope you enjoy. And that is it for me today, guys. Let me know if you have any interesting answers to any of these questions or what you thought of my answers, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye.